It was a busy day at Bennett Law Firm. The sunlight streamed through the large windows, casting bright patches on the polished wooden floors. Charles Bennett, a well-known lawyer with slick-back hair and a tailored suit, leaned back in his expensive chair, looking at his phone. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. He had just wrapped up another successful case, and his reputation as a ruthless lawyer was growing. Everyone in town knew Charles. He was the kind of lawyer who only took on cases that would make him more famous or richer. "Mr. Bennett, there's a client waiting to see you." Her name is Lisa Thompson, Jenna, his assistant, said as she entered his office, a file folder in her hands. She had a worried look on her face. Charles sighed, rolling his eyes. "What does she want?" he asked, not really interested. He was busy and didn't want to deal with clients who didn't seem important. "Just send her away. I'm sure she can find someone else." But Jenna frowned. "She seems really upset, sir. I think it's about a discrimination case against her employer." "Discrimination? It's probably just another sob story," Charles muttered. "I don't have time for this." But Jenna, who cared about people, pressed on. "Sir, maybe you should hear her out. She could really use your help." Charles waved his hand dismissively. "I'll help the clients that matter. I have a reputation to uphold." Jenna, feeling frustrated, nodded but couldn't shake the feeling that Lisa deserved a chance. "Fine. I'll let her in," she said, and with that, she left the room. A few minutes later, Lisa Thompson entered the office. She was a tall, confident black woman in her early 30s, wearing a smart but simple dress. But even in her professional attire, her nervousness showed. Lisa had been through a lot and was determined to seek justice. She had been fired from her job, and she believed it was because of her race. "Good afternoon," Lisa said, trying to smile despite her anxiety. "I'm here to discuss my case with you, Mr. Bennett." Charles looked her up and down, his expression flat. "What's your case?" he asked, leaning back in his chair, arms crossed. He was not impressed. Lisa took a deep breath. "I was let go from my job at Waverly Tech because my boss said I didn't fit the company's image. I believe it was because I'm black." Her voice wavered slightly, but she pressed on. "I want to take legal action against them." Charles raised an eyebrow, his interest not quite piqued. "And what exactly do you think I can do for you?" he asked, already planning to dismiss her case. "I only take on clients with a high chance of winning, and let's be honest, you don't look like you can afford my fees." "I may not have a lot of money," Lisa replied, her voice steady, "but I have a strong case. I've gathered evidence, including emails and witness statements. I just need someone to represent me." "Look, Miss Thompson," Charles interrupted, a sneer forming on his lips. "I deal with big corporations and rich clients. You think I want to waste my time on a discrimination case? That's not how I make my living. You should probably look for a smaller, less busy law firm." Lisa's heart sank. She had hoped for a chance to explain her situation, but now she felt dismissed and belittled. "Please, Mr. Bennett. This is important to me. I deserve a fair chance," she pleaded, desperation creeping into her voice. "Deserving has nothing to do with it," he replied curtly. "I have a reputation to maintain, and taking on cases like yours could ruin it." His tone was cold, and Lisa could see that he had already made up his mind. As she turned to leave, she felt a knot in her stomach. How could he be so cruel? She had come to him for help, and all she got was rejection. "I understand you're busy," she said, fighting back tears. "But please reconsider. I can provide all the evidence you need." "I don't have time for this," Charles said, waving her off again. "Find someone else." With that, Lisa walked out of the office, feeling defeated. As the door closed behind her, she felt a mixture of anger and sadness. Charles had dismissed her not only because she was black, but because he didn't see her worth. It wasn't just a refusal, it was a reflection of a system that often overlooked people like her. As she stepped into the bustling street outside, she felt lost. How could she fight against such discrimination? Just then, her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was a message from her mentor, Councilwoman Angela Brooks. "Let's meet later. I want to hear about your case," it read. Suddenly, a spark of hope ignited in her chest. Councilwoman Brooks was a powerful figure in their community, known for advocating for justice and equality. Maybe she could help Lisa find a way to take on Charles and Waverly Tech. Maybe I can still get my story out there, Lisa thought as she hurried to her car. She was determined to show everyone that she wouldn't be silenced. But even as she drove to meet the councilwoman, fear crept in. What if no one believed her? What if the system was too strong to fight against? As she parked her car, Lisa took a deep breath, reminding herself of the strength she had shown before. She had fought too hard to let one ruthless lawyer ruin her chance for justice. With renewed determination, she stepped into the community center where they were meeting. Inside, Councilwoman Brooks greeted her with a warm smile. "Lisa, I'm glad you're here. Tell me everything." Lisa opened up, explaining how she had been wrongfully terminated and how Charles Bennett had dismissed her case without a second thought. The councilwoman listened intently, her face reflecting concern and empathy. "This isn't just about you, Lisa. It's about everyone who has faced discrimination," Councilwoman Brooks said firmly. "We need to make sure your voice is heard." With that encouragement, Lisa felt a surge of hope. "I'll do whatever it takes," she replied. "I want to stand up for myself and for others." But as they talked, Lisa's phone buzzed again. It was a text from an unknown number, and her heart sank as she read it. "Back off, or you'll regret it." Her hands trembled slightly as she showed the message to the councilwoman. "What does this mean?" Lisa asked, her voice shaking. Councilwoman Brooks's expression turned serious. "This is a warning. Someone doesn't want you to pursue this case," she replied. Lisa felt fear creeping in, but she pushed it away. "I won't let anyone scare me. I have to fight for what's right." As they strategized their next steps, Lisa realized that this was just the beginning. The road ahead would be challenging, but she had the support of a powerful ally. Together, they would expose the truth and fight against the discrimination that had held her back for too long. And with that, Lisa left the meeting feeling more empowered than ever. She wouldn't let Charles Bennett's denial define her. Instead, she was ready to take a stand and make her voice heard. Lisa Thompson stared at her phone, her heart racing after being dismissed by Charles Bennett. The door to his office had shut behind her with a loud click, echoing her disappointment. "Why did I even think he would help me?" she muttered under her breath. She felt like a heavy weight was sitting in her stomach. She had worked so hard to gather evidence against her former employer for firing her unfairly, but now it seemed like her dreams of justice were slipping away. As she stepped into the bright sunlight, she took a deep breath. "Focus, Lisa," she reminded herself. "You faced worse than this." The street was bustling with people, cars honking, and kids playing in the nearby park. She had to remind herself of the bigger picture. Today was not just about one lawyer's refusal, it was about standing up for what was right. Just then, her phone buzzed again, breaking her out of her thoughts. It was a message from Councilwoman Angela Brooks, a powerful woman in the community who had always supported Lisa. "Let's meet. I want to discuss your case," it read. A spark of hope ignited in Lisa's heart. Maybe she could turn this situation around. Quickly, she typed back, "Yes. I'll be there soon." Arriving at the community center, Lisa felt her spirits lift as she entered the familiar building. It was a place where people came together to share stories, support each other, and fight for their rights. She spotted Councilwoman Brooks standing near the entrance, her confident demeanor drawing attention. The councilwoman had a way of making everyone feel valued, especially those in need. "Lisa!" Angela exclaimed, her eyes brightening as she approached. "I'm so glad you came. We need to talk about what happened with Charles Bennett." "I didn't expect him to refuse me so quickly," Lisa replied, her voice tinged with frustration. "I thought he would at least listen to my case." Angela shook her head. He's known for being ruthless, especially toward people of color. But that doesn't mean you should give up. You have connections too, Lisa. Lisa felt a surge of determination. I know, but it's hard to fight against someone like him. What if I don't have what it takes? Angela placed a comforting hand on Lisa's shoulder. You're stronger than you think. I've seen you stand up for your community. Now, let's strategize how to take this to the next level. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. The two women sat down at a table in the center of the community room, surrounded by posters and flyers promoting upcoming events. Lisa felt her confidence growing as Angela began outlining their plan. First, we need to gather support from the community. If we can show that this is a larger issue, more people will rally behind you. Do you really think they'll care? Lisa asked, doubt creeping back in. Absolutely. This is about more than just your case. It's about the discrimination that many people face every day, Angela assured her. We'll organize a rally and invite everyone. Together, we can amplify your voice. As Lisa listened, a fire ignited within her. What if we also reach out to local news outlets? They could help spread the word, she suggested, excitement bubbling up. Great idea. Angela replied. We need to make sure people understand how serious this is. Charles Bennett can't be allowed to treat clients like that. With newfound energy, Lisa and Angela brainstormed ideas for the rally. They discussed speakers, potential locations, and how to get the word out. The thought of standing in front of a crowd, sharing her story, filled Lisa with both fear and excitement. Just as they were wrapping up their meeting, Lisa's phone buzzed again. It was a text from an unknown number. Her heart sank as she read it. Back off from Bennett's case, or you'll regret it. What is it? Angela asked, noticing the change in Lisa's expression. Someone just texted me, telling me to stay away from Charles Bennett, Lisa said, her voice trembling. Angela's expression turned serious. This is why we need to be careful. But it also shows how important this fight is. You're making waves, and not everyone is going to like it. Lisa nodded, determination flooding her veins. I won't let them scare me. I need to do this, not just for myself, but for everyone else who has faced discrimination. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the community center, Lisa felt a shift within herself. She was no longer just a woman seeking justice, she was becoming a voice for change. The next few days flew by as Lisa and Angela worked tirelessly to prepare for the rally. They reached out to community leaders, organized flyers, and spread the word on social media. Support began pouring in, and Lisa felt encouraged by the messages of solidarity she received. Finally, the day of the rally arrived. Lisa stood in front of the community center, surrounded by supporters holding signs that read "Justice for Lisa" and "No More Discrimination." The energy in the air was electric, and Lisa felt a mix of nerves and excitement. As she looked out at the crowd, she spotted familiar faces, friends from school, neighbors, and even strangers who had come to support her cause. The rally began, and speakers shared their experiences with discrimination and injustice. Each story resonated deeply with Lisa, reminding her why she was fighting. When it was finally her turn to speak, Lisa felt her heart pounding in her chest. She stepped up to the microphone, took a deep breath, and faced the crowd. Thank you all for being here today. I want to share my story, my fight for justice against someone who thought they could silence me because of the color of my skin. The crowd erupted in cheers, giving her the strength she needed. She continued, recounting her experience with Charles Bennett and how he had refused to help her simply because she was black. This isn't just about me, it's about every person who has faced discrimination and felt powerless, she declared, her voice growing stronger with every word. As she spoke, Lisa noticed Charles Bennett standing at the edge of the crowd, his expression darkening. She could feel his presence, but she refused to let it intimidate her. We will not be silenced. We will stand together and fight for our rights, she shouted, and the crowd erupted into applause. But just as Lisa finished her speech, she received another message on her phone. It was from the same unknown number, this time with a warning: "You're making a mistake. Stay away from Bennett." The word sent a chill down her spine, but Lisa remained resolute. She had come too far to back down now. As the rally continued, Lisa felt a sense of empowerment washing over her. She had the support of her community, and together they would make their voices heard. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the gathering, Lisa realized that this was just the beginning. She was ready to take on Charles Bennett and fight for justice, no matter the cost. With Councilwoman Brooks by her side and a community rallying behind her, she was determined to see this fight through to the end. The sun hung high in the sky, casting a warm glow over the city as Lisa Thompson hurried to the community center. She clutched her bag tightly, filled with notes and ideas for her meeting with Councilwoman Angela Brooks. Lisa's heart raced with a mix of nerves and determination. After the devastating encounter with Charles Bennett, she knew she had to do something. Today could change everything. Will she understand? Lisa thought anxiously as she approached the entrance. Just as she reached for the door, a voice called out to her. "Lisa! You made it!" It was Angela, her warm smile instantly easing Lisa's tension. "Come in, let's talk about how we can help you." Inside, the room buzzed with energy. People were gathering for a community meeting, but Angela led Lisa to a quieter corner. "I've heard about what happened with that lawyer. You shouldn't have to face this alone," Angela said, her voice steady and reassuring. Lisa nodded, feeling a spark of hope igniting in her chest. "Thank you for meeting with me. I really need your help," Lisa began, her voice trembling slightly. "Charles Bennett refused to take my case because I'm black. It's like he doesn't even care about the discrimination I faced at my job." Anger bubbled up inside her as she recounted the experience. The injustice of it all weighed heavily on her. Angela's expression grew serious. "That's unacceptable. We can't let people like him think they can get away with this," she replied firmly. "I want you to know that I'm here for you. Together, we can fight back." Lisa felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. "But how?" she asked, fear creeping back in. "We need to gather support from the community," Angela explained. "When people come together, they can create real change. We'll hold a press conference to share your story. The media will help us spread the word." Lisa's eyes widened. The thought of being in front of cameras both excited and terrified her. "But what if they don't believe me?" Lisa asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "What if Charles denies everything?" Angela placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Lisa, your story is important. There are many people who have faced similar situations, and they will stand with you." As they talked, Lisa began to feel stronger. "You're right. I can't let his racism stop me from getting justice," she declared, determination filling her voice. Angela smiled, her eyes sparkling with pride. "That's the spirit. We will make a plan, and I promise you, we'll fight this together." Suddenly, a loud commotion outside the community center interrupted their conversation. Curious, they both moved to the window and peered out. A small crowd had gathered, holding signs that read "Justice for Lisa" and "End Racism Now." Lisa's heart swelled at the sight. "They're here for me," she gasped. Angela nodded, her smile wide. "See? You're not alone." The crowd outside was growing, and Lisa felt a rush of emotion. She stepped outside, her heart racing as she faced the people who had come to support her. "Thank you for being here," she called out, her voice shaky but loud. The crowd cheered, and Lisa felt a surge of confidence. This was just the beginning. "Together, we'll make sure that no one else has to face what I did," Lisa proclaimed, her voice gaining strength. "Charles Bennett may think he can silence me, but we won't back down." The crowd erupted in applause, their cheers echoing in the streets. Lisa felt the weight of their support lifting her spirits. She wasn't just fighting for herself, she was fighting for everyone who had been treated unfairly. As the rally continued, Lisa caught sight of a familiar face in the crowd. It was her friend, Sarah, who rushed over to her, beaming with excitement. "I can't believe this. I heard about what happened, and I'm so proud of you," Sarah exclaimed, wrapping Lisa in a tight hug. Lisa felt a wave of comfort wash over her. "Thank you for coming. It means so much to me." The crowd began chanting, "Justice for Lisa! Justice for Lisa!" The energy was infectious, and Lisa felt empowered by their voices. It was more than just a chant, it was a movement. She glanced back at Angela, who nodded encouragingly, signaling that this was just the start. "Now that we have momentum, let's get organized," Angela suggested, her eyes scanning the crowd. "We need to spread the word about the press conference and gather more supporters." Lisa agreed, her mind racing with ideas. "I can share my story on social media. Maybe more people will want to join us." "Great idea. Let's make sure your story is heard far and wide," Angela encouraged. As they brainstormed, Lisa felt a rush of excitement. This was her chance to stand up and be heard. Later that evening, Lisa sat at her laptop, her fingers flying over the keyboard as she crafted a post for social media. She wrote about her experience with Charles Bennett, emphasizing the discrimination she faced. "I refuse to be silenced. I will fight for justice," she typed, her heart racing with determination. After hitting post, she felt a sense of relief. But as the notifications began pouring in, her heart sank when she saw a comment from an anonymous user. "You should be grateful someone like Bennett even gave you a chance. Stop whining." Anger flared up inside her. How could someone dismiss her pain so easily? Lisa took a deep breath, reminding herself that she wasn't alone. She had the support of her community and Councilwoman Brooks. Ignoring the negativity, she focused on the positive comments flooding in. "We stand with you, Lisa," one person wrote. "Your voice matters," another added. Those words fueled her determination. The next day, the press conference arrived. Lisa arrived at the community center, where a small crowd had gathered. Reporters set up cameras, their voices buzzing with excitement. Lisa felt a knot of nerves in her stomach, but she reminded herself of the support surrounding her. This was her moment to share her truth. As the cameras started rolling, Lisa took a deep breath and stepped up to the microphone. "Thank you all for coming today. My name is Lisa Thompson, and I'm here to share my story," she began. The crowd fell silent, hanging on her every word. "I was denied legal representation by Charles Bennett because of the color of my skin. I faced discrimination at my job, and when I sought help, he turned me away without a second thought." Her voice trembled, but she pressed on, determined to be heard. "Racism is real, and it affects many people like me every day. I refuse to let it stop me. I'm fighting not just for myself, but for everyone who has ever faced discrimination." Lisa's heart raced as she saw nods of understanding among the crowd. She was making an impact. After her speech, the crowd erupted in applause. Lisa felt a surge of pride, her fears melting away. Angela stepped forward to add her support, emphasizing the importance of standing against injustice. "Together, we can create change," she shouted, her voice filled with passion. As the press conference concluded, Lisa felt exhilarated. She had faced her fears, and the community was rallying behind her. But just as she was about to celebrate, she noticed a figure lurking at the edge of the crowd, none other than Charles Bennett himself. He stood there, arms crossed, a smug expression on his face. Lisa's stomach twisted as she caught his eye. What's he doing here? She wondered, her heart pounding. Did he plan to undermine her message? Would Charles Bennett try to intimidate her again, or would he finally be forced to confront the consequences of his actions? Lisa Thompson sat in the community center's small conference room, her hands trembling as she replayed the ominous message on her phone. Stay out of it, or you'll regret it. The room around her felt charged with tension. Councilwoman Angela Brooks sat across from her, eyes narrowed, trying to make sense of the situation. This is serious, Lisa, she said, her voice steady but urgent. Someone is trying to intimidate you. Lisa's heart raced. But who would send me a message like this? I'm just trying to stand up for myself. She could feel the weight of the message pressing down on her, fear curling in her stomach. Just a few days ago, she had been so full of hope and determination after her meeting with the councilwoman. Now, doubt began to creep in. Would she be able to take on someone as powerful as Charles Bennett? "Look, this might be a tactic to scare you off," Angela said, leaning forward, her expression serious. "We can't let them silence you. We need to find out who sent this message." Angela's determination sparked something in Lisa, igniting her own courage. She thought about all the people who had been hurt by discrimination, all the voices that had gone unheard. She couldn't let this threat deter her. "I won't back down," Lisa declared, her voice gaining strength. "If anything, this just makes me want to fight harder." The councilwoman smiled, impressed by Lisa's resolve. "That's the spirit. We'll stand together. I have connections that can help us." Just as she spoke, Lisa's phone buzzed again. It was another message, and her heart dropped as she opened it. "Don't make me hurt you," it read. Lisa felt her stomach churn, a wave of panic washing over her. "I don't like this," she whispered, her voice shaking. "I don't want to be hurt." Angela reached across the table, taking Lisa's hand in hers. "You're not alone, Lisa. We'll get to the bottom of this together. You have to trust me." Feeling slightly reassured, Lisa nodded. She could feel the fire of determination growing within her. "What should we do next?" she asked, looking into Angela's eyes for guidance. "We need to gather evidence and support," Angela replied, her mind racing with ideas. "I'll use my connections to spread the word about your case. The more people know, the harder it will be for Charles to intimidate you." Lisa took a deep breath, letting the plan take shape in her mind. They would organize a rally, a way to bring the community together and raise awareness about the injustices she faced. It would be a chance to shine a light on the discrimination that was so often swept under the rug. "Let's do it," Lisa said, her voice firm. "I want to stand up and let everyone know that we deserve better." As they discussed details, a sense of urgency filled the room. Angela encouraged Lisa to speak about her experience at the rally, sharing her story with others. "Your voice is powerful, Lisa. You have the chance to inspire others who have faced similar challenges." "Yes," Lisa exclaimed, her excitement building. "If I can help even one person understand what it's like to be treated unfairly, it will be worth it." But even as she spoke, doubt flickered in the back of her mind. What if Charles found out about the rally? What if he tried to silence her before she had a chance to speak? Just then, Angela's phone buzzed, and she glanced at the screen. "I need to take this," she said, standing up. "It's about your case. I'll be right back." Lisa watched her leave, the door closing behind her. Alone in the room, she felt a wave of anxiety wash over her. What if the threats continued? What if she was putting herself in danger by standing up against someone like Charles Bennett? With her mind racing, Lisa pulled out her phone again, scrolling through the messages. Should she respond to the anonymous threats? Should she inform the police? Doubts filled her head, and she bit her lip, uncertainty gnawing at her confidence. As she sat in silence, she remembered the support from her friends and family, all of whom believed in her. They were counting on her to fight for what was right. Angela returned, her expression serious but focused. "I just spoke with a few allies. We need to act fast," she said, sitting back down. "We're organizing a press conference to shed light on the discrimination you've faced. We need the media involved. They can help amplify your voice." "A press conference?" Lisa echoed, feeling a mixture of excitement and dread. "Do you really think that will help?" "It has to," Angela replied firmly. "The more people who hear your story, the stronger we'll be. It's time to show Charles Bennett and the world that we will not be silenced." Lisa nodded, feeling a surge of determination. "You're right. I want to do this." Together, they began planning, outlining key points for Lisa to share at the conference. They discussed the importance of highlighting her experience, the impact of discrimination, and the need for change. As they worked, Lisa's phone buzzed again. It was another message from the anonymous number. You don't want to make this worse for yourself, it warned. Her heart raced, and she shared the message with Angela, who frowned, her eyes narrowing. This is serious, Lisa. We need to take precautions. I'll talk to the police and let them know what's happening. You shouldn't be alone. Feeling a wave of vulnerability wash over her, Lisa nodded. Thank you, Angela. I don't want to be afraid, but this is terrifying. You're being brave by standing up for yourself, Angela assured her. We'll make sure you have support. You won't be alone in this fight. Lisa felt a glimmer of hope return. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the days passed, the rally approached, and Lisa's excitement grew. She felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. So many people were counting on her to speak out against the discrimination she had faced. The night before the rally, she lay in bed, tossing and turning as thoughts raced through her mind. What if no one showed up? What if Charles retaliated? Finally, the morning of the rally arrived, and Lisa woke up determined. She dressed carefully, wanting to look confident and professional. She chose a bright red dress, a color that made her feel empowered. As she stood in front of the mirror, she practiced her speech, her voice growing stronger with each repetition. When she arrived at the rally, the energy in the air was electric. Supporters were gathering, holding signs that read "Justice for Lisa" and "End Discrimination Now." Lisa felt a rush of gratitude as she recognized familiar faces in the crowd. Friends and family had come out to show their support, and the sight filled her with hope. As the rally began, Lisa stood at the podium, her heart racing. She looked out at the sea of faces, all watching her, eager to hear her story. The crowd cheered as she stepped up to the microphone, and she took a deep breath, her palms sweating. Thank you all for being here today, she began, her voice trembling slightly. I'm here to share my story, to stand up for myself and for everyone who has faced discrimination. The crowd erupted in applause, and she felt her confidence grow. I was denied legal help because of my race. A powerful lawyer thought he could intimidate me and silence my voice, Lisa continued, her heart pounding in her chest. But I refuse to be silent any longer. We deserve justice, and we deserve to be heard. The crowd cheered again, their enthusiasm fueling her words. She saw Angela standing at the front, nodding encouragingly, and it gave her the strength to keep going. Together, we will fight against discrimination. Together, we will demand respect. As she spoke, Lisa felt a wave of emotion wash over her. This was her moment, and she was determined to make it count. But in the back of her mind, the anonymous threats loomed like shadows, reminding her of the danger she faced. After her speech, Lisa stepped down from the podium, her heart racing with adrenaline. She had done it, she had spoken her truth. The energy of the crowd surrounded her, and for a moment, she felt invincible. But as she scanned the faces in the crowd, she noticed a figure watching from the sidelines, Charles Bennett. His presence sent a chill down her spine, and she could see the disdain in his eyes. Had he come to intimidate her further? Or was he there to make a statement? Lisa's stomach twisted with anxiety, but she couldn't let fear dictate her actions. She had come too far to back down now. Stay strong, Lisa, Angela said, stepping beside her. You did amazing up there. Thank you, Lisa replied, still feeling the weight of Charles's gaze. But I can't shake this feeling that he's going to try something. Angela nodded, understanding the unspoken fear that hung in the air. We'll make sure you're safe. You have the community behind you. Just then, the crowd erupted into cheers as the rally continued, supporters chanting for justice. Lisa felt the warmth of their support wash over her, but her mind remained on the threats she had received. As the rally came to a close, Lisa and Angela stood at the front, soaking in the energy and hope radiating from the crowd. They had done something powerful. The sun was bright on the day of the press conference, shining down on the small park where Lisa Thompson stood with her heart racing. She could see the crowd gathering, a sea of familiar faces and new supporters, all coming together to hear her story. Lisa felt a mix of excitement and nerves. This was the moment she had been waiting for, the chance to speak out against the injustice she had faced. Lisa, are you ready? Councilwoman Angela Brooks asked, her voice warm and encouraging as she stood beside Lisa. The councilwoman had been a constant source of strength and guidance, and Lisa appreciated her unwavering support. Yes, I think so, Lisa replied, taking a deep breath. She felt the cool breeze against her skin and closed her eyes for a moment, trying to calm her racing heart. She thought about everything she had been through, losing her job, facing discrimination, and being dismissed by Charles Bennett, the ruthless lawyer. This press conference was her opportunity to make sure no one else would have to endure what she had. The crowd began to cheer as they noticed Lisa and the councilwoman. Cameras clicked, and the excitement in the air was palpable. Lisa opened her eyes and stepped forward, ready to share her story with the world. Thank you all for being here today, Lisa called out, her voice ringing clear. The crowd fell silent, eager to hear her words. My name is Lisa Thompson, and I'm here to talk about something very important. She glanced at Councilwoman Brooks, who nodded encouragingly. I was fired from my job because of my race, and I went to a lawyer to get help, she continued. But instead of helping me, he turned me away. His name is Charles Bennett, and he refused to even consider my case because I am black. The crowd gasped, and Lisa could feel their energy shift. She saw people nodding in agreement, their expressions filled with empathy and anger. This was the moment she had been waiting for. She was no longer just a victim, she was a voice for change. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. Discrimination is real, and it affects people every day, Lisa said, her voice growing stronger. We need to stand together to fight against it. I refuse to let anyone silence me, and I refuse to let them treat us like we don't matter. The crowd erupted in cheers, and Lisa felt a rush of adrenaline. She was making a difference, and it felt incredible. As the cheers died down, Councilwoman Brooks stepped up to the microphone. Lisa is a brave woman, and her story is just one of many. We must unite as a community to fight against discrimination and injustice, she urged, her voice filled with passion. The crowd responded with applause, and Lisa felt a sense of hope wash over her. But just as the atmosphere was building, a familiar black SUV pulled up at the edge of the park. Lisa's stomach dropped as she saw Charles Bennett step out, his expression cold and calculating. What does he want? She whispered to the councilwoman, her heart racing again. I don't know, but we won't let him intimidate us, Angela replied firmly. Stay strong, Lisa. The crowd noticed Charles, and murmurs began to ripple through them. Lisa's heart pounded in her chest. She knew he wouldn't take her standing up for herself lightly. Charles walked toward the crowd, his presence commanding. This is nothing but a circus, he called out, his voice dripping with disdain. You're all wasting your time listening to this woman. She's just trying to get attention. Lisa felt anger boiling inside her. No, I'm trying to stand up for what's right, she shouted back, her voice cutting through the tension. You may think you can intimidate me, but you can't silence my truth. The crowd erupted in support, chanting Lisa's name. Charles's face turned red with anger, and he glared at her. You think this will change anything? You're just another person looking for a handout, he spat, his words filled with contempt. Lisa refused to back down. This isn't about handouts, this is about justice. This is about making sure that no one else has to suffer like I have. The crowd cheered again, and Lisa felt the power of their support behind her. Enough of this nonsense, Charles shouted, trying to regain control. You're nothing but a liar trying to ruin my reputation. His words struck hard, but Lisa held her ground. No, I'm telling the truth. And the truth matters, she replied, her voice steady. She could see the determination in the eyes of the people around her. They were with her, and together they were powerful. Just then, a young man from the crowd stepped forward. Mr. Bennett, we all know about your reputation. This isn't just about Lisa, it's about the countless others you've treated this way, he said boldly. The crowd murmured in agreement, their voices rising in a chorus of support. Charles's demeanor shifted, and for a moment, Uncertainty flashed across his face. But he quickly recovered, his arrogance returning. "You're all foolish to believe this nonsense," he said dismissively, turning to leave. As he walked away, Lisa felt a rush of triumph. "We will not back down," she called out, and the crowd roared in approval. The energy was electric, and she knew they were making a difference. After the press conference ended, Lisa felt a wave of relief wash over her. She had faced Charles Bennett head-on and had not let him intimidate her. The community had rallied behind her, and she was filled with hope. But deep down, she knew this was just the beginning. The fight for justice was far from over. "Lisa, you were amazing," Councilwoman Brooks exclaimed, pulling her into a hug. "You stood your ground and spoke your truth. I'm so proud of you." "Thank you, Angela. I couldn't have done this without your support," Lisa replied, her heart swelling with gratitude. "But I know Charles won't just let this go. He's powerful and connected." "I know, but we have the community behind us," the councilwoman reassured her. "Together, we can make a difference." Lisa nodded, feeling a renewed sense of determination. She wouldn't let fear stop her from pursuing justice. As they walked away from the park, Lisa's phone buzzed with notifications. She pulled it out and saw multiple messages from friends and supporters, praising her bravery. But there was one message that caught her eye. It was from an unknown number, reading, "You're making a mistake. Back off before it's too late." Her heart raced as she showed the message to Angela. "What do you think this means?" she asked, her voice trembling. "It means someone is scared of what you're doing," the councilwoman replied, her brow furrowing. "But we can't let threats stop us. We have to keep pushing forward." Lisa felt a knot in her stomach. "But what if they try to silence me? What if Charles has more power than we think?" Angela placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We'll be prepared. Let's gather more support and make sure your story reaches even more people. The truth cannot be silenced." With a deep breath, Lisa nodded. She knew the road ahead would be tough, but she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. She had come too far to turn back now. As they walked to Lisa's car, Lisa glanced back at the park. She could still hear the echoes of the crowd's cheers, a reminder of the strength they had shown together. She was no longer alone in this fight. She had a community standing beside her, ready to challenge the discrimination that had held them back for too long. "I won't back down," Lisa vowed to herself, determination coursing through her veins. "I will fight for justice, not just for me, but for everyone who has faced discrimination." She looked at Angela, who smiled back, proud and supportive. As they drove away, Lisa felt a sense of purpose burning inside her. The battle was just beginning, but with the community behind her, she knew they would not be easily defeated. "Let's make sure the world knows what's happening," she said, feeling inspired. "We have to keep the pressure on Charles and expose the truth about discrimination in our community." Angela nodded in agreement. "We will rally more supporters, reach out to the media, and make sure your voice is heard loud and clear." The determination in Lisa's heart grew stronger. She was ready to take on the world and fight for what was right. This was more than just her case. It was a fight for justice, equality, and the truth. As they drove on, Lisa felt empowered. She was ready to face whatever came next, knowing that she had a community and a powerful ally by her side. The journey would be difficult, but she was no longer afraid. She was ready to fight back. The press conference had marked a turning point, and Lisa was ready to lead the charge against discrimination, not just for herself, but for everyone who had ever been silenced. With each mile they traveled, she felt the weight of her purpose growing stronger, igniting a fire within her that would not be extinguished. And so, with determination in her heart and hope in her spirit, Lisa Thompson set out on her journey for justice, knowing that together, they would create a future where everyone's voice could be heard. The air was thick with tension as Lisa stood at the podium, the bright lights from the cameras illuminating her face. She could feel her heart racing, a mixture of fear and determination coursing through her veins. This was the moment she had been waiting for, the press conference where she would share her story and expose the discrimination she faced at the hands of Charles Bennett, the ruthless lawyer who had refused her case. As she scanned the crowd, she saw familiar faces, friends, family, and community members who had come to support her. It felt empowering to know that so many people believed in her. She took a deep breath, recalling the councilwoman's words of encouragement from earlier. "Speak your truth, and let them hear you," Councilwoman Brooks had said. And that's exactly what Lisa intended to do. Just as she began to speak, a black SUV pulled up to the curb, and Lisa's stomach dropped. Out stepped Charles Bennett, his expensive suit contrasting sharply with the casual attire of the supporters around her. He walked toward the podium with a confident stride, a smug expression on his face. "What a surprise," he said sarcastically as he approached. "A rally for a publicity stunt." Lisa felt a wave of anger wash over her. How dare he dismiss her pain? She steadied her voice and replied, "This is not a publicity stunt, Mr. Bennett. This is about justice for myself and everyone else who has faced discrimination like I have." The crowd erupted in cheers, bolstering her confidence. Charles smirked, clearly unfazed. "You think this little gathering will change anything? I have powerful connections." "You're just a nobody trying to make a name for herself," he retorted, crossing his arms. The crowd's cheers quickly turned into murmurs of discontent. Lisa could sense the tension in the air as she faced Charles, who stood there like a wall, trying to intimidate her. But she wouldn't let him. "I'm not a nobody," she asserted, her voice steady. "I'm a woman with a story, and I refuse to be silenced." As the crowd cheered her on, Lisa felt a rush of adrenaline. This was her moment to shine. "I came to you for help, Charles. I thought you were a man of integrity. Instead, you dismissed me because of the color of my skin," she said, her voice strong. "You've shown everyone what true discrimination looks like." Charles rolled his eyes, clearly trying to maintain his composure. "You're overreacting, Lisa. I have a reputation to uphold. Taking on your case would be a waste of my time," he countered, his tone dripping with condescension. "No," Lisa replied, shaking her head. "You're trying to protect your reputation because it's built on a foundation of lies and discrimination. People are tired of lawyers like you getting away with this." The crowd erupted in applause, and Lisa felt their support envelop her like a warm blanket. But Charles wasn't done. "You think this rally will help you? I have the media on my side. You're just a sad story that people will forget by tomorrow," he sneered. His words hung in the air, trying to undermine her confidence. Lisa felt a flicker of doubt, but she quickly pushed it aside. "You underestimate the power of community," she said, looking out at the faces in the crowd. "This isn't just about me. It's about everyone who has faced injustice and discrimination. We will not be silenced." At that moment, a woman from the crowd stepped forward, holding a sign that read "Justice for Lisa." "We stand with you, Lisa. We're not going to let him intimidate you," she shouted, and the crowd erupted in agreement. The energy shifted, and Lisa felt the tide turning in her favor. Charles's face darkened, his arrogance beginning to wane as the crowd continued to rally around Lisa. He could see that his usual tactics of intimidation were failing. He leaned closer to the microphone, trying to regain control. "You think you're making a difference, but you're just making noise," he snapped. "I have clients who rely on me. I won't be swayed by a few emotional speeches." "Emotional?" Lisa echoed, incredulous. "This is real. People's lives are affected by your choices. You're not just denying me a chance at justice, you're perpetuating a system that holds others back." Her voice rose, filled with passion. "And that stops today." The crowd roared in approval, and Lisa felt a wave of strength surge through her. She looked straight at Charles, refusing to back down. "You think you can hide behind your status and your connections? This isn't just about me, this is about the countless others who have faced the same discrimination." For a moment, Charles seemed taken aback, and Lisa seized the opportunity. "You might think you're untouchable, but you're wrong. People are coming together to demand change, and that change is coming whether you like it or not, she declared, her voice powerful and unwavering. Just then, someone shouted from the back, "We're tired of being ignored." The crowd began to chant, "Justice for Lisa. Justice for all." The atmosphere was electric, and Lisa felt a rush of hope. Charles's expression shifted from smugness to frustration as he tried to regain control of the situation. You can't just stir up a crowd and think you'll get what you want. The law doesn't work that way, he exclaimed, his voice rising. But Lisa wasn't done. The law should protect everyone equally, but it doesn't. People like you use the law as a weapon against those of us who are already at a disadvantage, she said, her eyes narrowing. You may think you're above it all, but you're about to find out how wrong you are. The crowd erupted in cheers again, the energy palpable. Lisa could see the determination in their eyes, a shared commitment to fight against the injustices they faced. It felt as if the world was shifting beneath their feet, and she was at the forefront of that change. Charles took a step back, his confidence starting to wane. This is all just a performance, he said dismissively. You think that shouting slogans will change anything? You'll still lose. But even he seemed to realize that the tide was turning against him. As the rally continued, Lisa felt a surge of hope. She glanced at Councilwoman Brooks, who was standing proudly with her, nodding in encouragement. You've got this, Lisa. Keep pushing, the councilwoman called out, her voice strong and supportive. With renewed determination, Lisa addressed the crowd again. This is not just about my case, it's about everyone who has been treated unfairly because of the color of their skin. We deserve better. We will fight for what is right, and we will not back down. Charles's expression twisted into one of anger and frustration. You think you're making history, but this is just a moment. I have the law on my side, and you're nothing but a fleeting headline, he spat, trying to regain his composure. But Lisa knew she was part of something bigger than herself. No, Charles. This is the beginning of a movement. People are waking up to the realities of discrimination and injustice. You can't silence us anymore. She felt the strength of the crowd behind her, their voices joining hers in a powerful chorus of unity. As the rally continued, Lisa felt a wave of energy wash over her. The support from the community was overwhelming, and she knew they were making a difference. They were not just a group of individuals, they were a force to be reckoned with. Together, they would challenge the status quo and fight for justice. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the crowd, Lisa took a moment to reflect on how far she had come. Just weeks ago, she had felt alone and dismissed, but now she was at the center of a powerful movement. The feeling was exhilarating. But in the back of her mind, she couldn't shake the feeling that Charles would not back down easily. He was a formidable opponent, and this fight was far from over. Yet, she also knew she had allies on her side, and together, they would push for change. As the rally came to a close, Lisa looked out at the sea of supporters, their faces filled with hope and determination. Thank you all for standing with me today. This is just the beginning, and together we will make our voices heard, she shouted, her heart swelling with pride. The crowd erupted in applause, and Lisa felt a sense of belonging she had never experienced before. This fight was not just for her, it was for everyone who had faced discrimination and injustice. With the support of her community, she knew they would not rest until justice was served. As they began to disperse, Lisa took one last look at Charles, who stood off to the side, his expression dark and menacing. This isn't over, Lisa, he muttered under his breath, but Lisa felt a spark of defiance in her heart. No, it's just the beginning, she whispered to herself, ready to continue the fight. With the strength of her community behind her, Lisa was determined to ensure that discrimination would not go unchallenged, and she would be a voice for those who had been silenced for too long. As the sun began to set, casting a warm golden light over the city, Lisa Thompson stood in front of the crowd gathered at the community park. Her heart raced with excitement and nerves. Today was the day she would stand up against discrimination, not just for herself, but for everyone who had ever faced unfair treatment. The rally was buzzing with energy. People were holding signs that read "Justice for Lisa" and "End Discrimination Now." Lisa took a deep breath, feeling the support of her community surrounding her. "Can you hear me?" Lisa called out, raising her voice to be heard over the excited chatter. The crowd grew quiet, and all eyes turned to her. "Thank you all for being here today. Together, we can make a difference." The crowd erupted in cheers, and Lisa felt a surge of courage. She was ready to share her story, ready to show everyone that discrimination was not just something that happened to others, it happened to her, too. As she stepped forward, her heart pounded. She could see Councilwoman Angela Brooks standing nearby, nodding encouragingly. Lisa remembered the words of her mentor, "Your voice matters. Speak your truth." And that's exactly what she planned to do. Not long ago, I walked into a law office to seek help after being wronged by my former employer. I thought I could count on a lawyer to help me, but instead, I was turned away because of the color of my skin, Lisa began, her voice steady despite the tremble of emotions beneath. Charles Bennett, a well-known lawyer, refused to take my case, saying he didn't handle cases like mine. The crowd murmured, anger and sympathy flashing across their faces. Lisa pressed on, her words pouring out like a waterfall. I felt so small in that moment. I thought that maybe I didn't deserve justice because I was black. But I refused to believe that. Cheers erupted from the crowd, fueling her passion. She looked around, seeing faces filled with determination and solidarity. I reached out to Councilwoman Brooks, who believed in my fight and my story, Lisa continued, her heart swelling with gratitude. She reminded me that I am not alone, and neither are any of you. The crowd shouted back, "We are with you." Their voices filled the park, a chorus of unity. Suddenly, Lisa caught a glimpse of Charles Bennett standing at the edge of the park, his expression dark and defensive. He had come to witness the rally, and she felt a shiver of fear run down her spine. Would he try to undermine her? Would he use his power to silence her? But she pushed those thoughts aside. "This is our time," she shouted, her confidence growing. "We have the power to change the narrative. We can make sure that everyone is treated fairly, no matter the color of their skin." The crowd roared in agreement, raising their fists in the air. Lisa continued, "I refuse to let a ruthless lawyer tell me I am less than anyone else. I refuse to let fear dictate my actions. Together, we will stand strong." The energy in the park was electric, and Lisa could feel the collective spirit of everyone there lifting her higher. Just then, the councilwoman stepped forward, her presence commanding attention. "Today, we stand against the discrimination that Lisa faced, and we will not back down." Angela's voice rang out, resonating with strength. "Let's show everyone that we will fight for justice, that we will not be silenced." The crowd erupted once more, their voices echoing through the park. But then, Lisa noticed something in Charles's demeanor. He was speaking with someone on his phone, and his expression shifted from annoyance to anger. What was he planning? Lisa's heart raced as a feeling of dread crept in. Would he try to retaliate against her or the councilwoman? Determined not to let fear hold her back, Lisa raised her hand, signaling for silence. "We have to remain united, no matter what happens. If Charles tries to intimidate us, we will stand together." The crowd responded with shouts of encouragement, their energy palpable. As the rally continued, Lisa shared more about her experiences, her voice growing stronger with each word. "Discrimination affects us all. We need to lift each other up and demand change." She could see people nodding, their eyes shining with conviction. The rally wasn't just about her, it was about everyone who had ever faced injustice. Suddenly, a loud commotion erupted near the back of the crowd. Lisa turned to see several officers approaching, their uniforms crisp and intimidating. "What's going on?" she asked, feeling a knot form in her stomach. The crowd shifted, murmurs of concern rippling through the attendees. "Lisa Thompson, you need to disperse. This rally is unauthorized," one of the officers barked, his tone harsh and unyielding. Lisa felt the air grow heavy with tension. Was this Charles's doing? Had he sent the police to intimidate her? "Are you kidding me?" Lisa exclaimed, stepping forward, her heart racing. "We have a right to be here and speak out against discrimination." The crowd rallied behind her, voices rising in solidarity. The officer frowned, clearly unprepared for the show of unity. "This is a public space, and we will not allow disturbances," he warned, crossing his arms. But Lisa could see the uncertainty in his eyes. He wasn't entirely sure how to handle the situation. "Let's not back down," Angela said quietly to Lisa, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We have the right to gather and express our beliefs." Lisa nodded, feeling empowered by the councilwoman's support. With a deep breath, Lisa faced the officer again. "We're not causing trouble. We're standing up for what is right. We are not going to let fear silence us." The crowd echoed her words, their chants growing louder. "Stand strong. Stand together." Suddenly, Charles Bennett stepped forward, his expression confident and smug. "This is ridiculous. You think you can change anything? You're just wasting your time," he sneered. The crowd gasped at his audacity, but Lisa stood firm, refusing to let his words shake her resolve. "Charles, you're wrong. We are not just voices in the wind. We are a community united against discrimination." Lisa shouted, her heart pounding with determination. "You can't silence us." The crowd erupted into cheers, their voices ringing out like a powerful anthem. "See? This is just a show," Charles said, trying to dismiss the crowd. But the energy was too strong. Lisa could feel it vibrating in her bones. They wouldn't let him win. Just then, the officer cleared his throat, glancing nervously between Lisa and Charles. "We'll give you a warning, but if this escalates, we'll have to take action," he said, his tone wavering. Lisa seized the moment. "We won't back down. We're here to make a change, and we will be heard." The crowd responded with a chorus of agreement, raising their fists in solidarity. With the tension thick in the air, Lisa felt an overwhelming sense of purpose. This was her moment, and she would not let anyone take it away from her. The crowd was behind her, and together they were a force to be reckoned with. As the rally continued, Lisa focused on her message. "Together, we will demand justice. Together, we will hold people accountable for their actions." The crowd echoed her sentiments, their passion palpable. Suddenly, the officer raised his hand, attempting to quiet the crowd. "All right, everyone, let's keep this civil. We don't want things to get out of hand." His voice was steady, but Lisa could sense that he was unsure how to proceed. "Stay calm, everyone," Angela urged, her voice filled with authority. "We're here to make a statement, and we will do it peacefully." The crowd nodded, the energy shifting as they remained united in their cause. Lisa took a moment to collect her thoughts, feeling the weight of the moment. "This is more than just about me. It's about our entire community. It's about standing up for what is right." The crowd roared, their voices echoing through the park. As the rally continued, Lisa felt a sense of hope wash over her. They were making history together, and she knew this was only the beginning. With each passing moment, they were breaking down barriers and fighting for justice. But in the back of her mind, Lisa couldn't shake the feeling of unease. What would happen next? Would Charles retaliate, or would this rally be a turning point in their fight against discrimination? As the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Lisa felt an overwhelming sense of unity in the air. Together, they were standing up against injustice, and she could feel the strength of the community surrounding her. With renewed determination, Lisa took a deep breath and spoke with conviction. "We will not be silenced. We will continue to fight for justice until every voice is heard." The crowd erupted in cheers, their energy infectious. And as the rally drew to a close, Lisa knew that they had made their mark. They were a community united against discrimination, ready to stand up and fight for what was right. Together, they would ensure that their voices echoed long after the rally had ended, shining a light on the truth and demanding change. This was just the beginning, and Lisa felt a surge of hope for the future. They were powerful, and they would not stop until justice was served for everyone. With her heart full of determination, Lisa stepped forward, ready to lead. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. We celebrate stories from all backgrounds and aim to share positive, respectful content. We stand firmly against racism, prejudice, or discrimination of any kind. Thank you for supporting inclusivity.